Now to another story ahead of the one-year anniversary of the devastating floods across northern New South Wales. The government's announced a new tranche of funding for the area designed to improve resilience against natural disasters. A number of projects, including advanced systems for mitigation, will receive funding under the package. For more on this, let's go live to Lismore. I'm joined by the Emergency Management Minister, Murray Watt. Thanks for your time. The CSIRO report into the Northern Rivers flooding shows that the flood warning systems really were a failure. Various reasons for it. They're owned by 4 different organisations or run by 4 different entities. Are you focusing enough on that in your initial response here?
Hi, Kieran, and good to be with you. Well, yeah, you're right. The CSIRO study, which we've released publicly today, does highlight some serious deficiencies with our flood warning network, particularly in the Northern Rivers, but there's a lot of other parts of the country where it leaves a bit to be desired as well. The truth is that we haven't seen the past investment from governments at all levels in that flood warning network and flood gauges and things like that. And that's why last year, actually, the Albanese government committed $15 million to improve flood gauges and upgrade them across New South Wales. So the Northern Rivers obviously will benefit from that funding, as will other parts of New South Wales. But I think there is more work to be done to fix this problem. And when you have a chance to have a look at the CSIRO report, Kieran, you'll see that they haven't actually recommended particular projects be funded when it comes to the flood gauge network, but they've certainly said that more work needs to be done to improve this.
So what are you thinking on that front with the flood warning system to deal with the sort of crisis that we saw last year, if heaven forbid we see that happen again?
I think in general terms, Kieran, the issue is that there aren't enough flood gauges in different parts of river catchments across New South Wales and some other states as well. In other cases, the gauges that are there haven't been properly maintained, and we've been hearing very clearly from local governments, who often are the owners of those gauges, that they don't have the resources to maintain them properly as well. So they're the kind of discussions that are currently occurring between the federal government, the New South Wales government and local governments to work out exactly what needs to be done. The CSIRO report has given us some pointers on how the network could be improved without going as far as then recommending that particular work occur. And that, as I say, those discussions are now happening because we want to have the best system we possibly can so that people do get early warning of dangerous flooding. But what we're doing in the meantime, as a result of this CSIRO report, is taking their recommendation to urgently upgrade a range of flood mitigation infrastructure. And that's why today we've announced $50 million as a start towards what will be a $150 million program to improve things like flood pumps, the pump stations that get water out of drains and get them into rivers and get the water flowing, evacuation route assessments, road raising and building culverts to make some of the roads in the region more flood resilient. So we will get on and do those projects as quickly as we can, the ones that CSIRO has recommended, while we continue to have that broader discussion about how we get that flood gauge network up and running as it should be.
Is it your view, you've spent a lot of time there, I know we spoke a lot when you're in opposition and now as a minister, you've seen it over months and months. Is it your view that some parts of the Northern Rivers simply, some of the areas of the towns have to relocate?
I think there are certainly some houses in some streets, in some of the towns in the Northern Rivers that do need to be relocated because they are just so flood prone. And I guess that's what we're focusing the home buyback program on, that we're jointly funding with the New South Wales government. There's over $700 million of joint investment between the two governments to buy back homes and to raise others and retrofit others again. And I was pleased to see that last week the first offers were made by the New South Wales government to start buying back homes here in the Northern Rivers. I don't think that it's probably accurate or feasible to relocate entire towns. Any of your viewers who have been to Lismore, for example, will know it's a very large, well-established town, and it's not really feasible to uproot an entire town of this size. But there are certainly parts of the town where it doesn't make sense, and it's not fair to people to let them stay living there, given we know there's going to be more floods in the future. So, as I say, we're looking at probably a couple of thousand home buybacks across the region, and that work is now already getting started.
Now, just finally, I know you're focusing on floods, but the superannuation debate, a kite being flown by the government, if it's to be changed, would it damage the government in a way? Because the Prime Minister had said there'd be no change to super before the election.
Well, it's probably best that I leave any sort of detailed comments on that to Jim Chalmers and the relevant ministers. But what I would say is that, it is reasonable for a government to make sure that the superannuation system is doing what it was always set up to do, which is to provide people with a dignified retirement. I don't think that's an unusual or unreasonable thing for the government to look at. And I think that Australians can be confident that under a Labor government, you'll always have a fair superannuation system because, of course, we were the party that brought superannuation in the first place.
Emergency Management Minister Murray Watt joining me live from Lismore. Thanks for your time.